Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on how to write an award-winning entry. We wanted to put this webinar on today to give everybody the best possible chance of winning an award. Historically, we've had excellent submissions come in, and the judging panel have always said it comes down to the wire as to how they pick the actual winner. So we thought, why not get 3 of our past winners to come and give you their top tips, because especially this year, we're not actually doing a video interview as part of the judging process. It's 100% on that submission. So we want to give everybody the best possible chance of becoming the winner. For those of you that might just be coming across the IPSE Freelancer Awards this year, they're going to be taking place on the 6th of July in London. In the Cheese Grater, so it's going to be a really great venue. And closing date for applications is Friday the 12th of May at 5 p.m. So please don't miss the deadline. We always get an absolute flurry right at the end, so try and be organised. When you come off this event all full of knowledge and hyped up, do go and submit your application. And we've got 12 categories this year, so we've added in a few extra new ones. You can enter as many as you would like, obviously try and keep it relevant, and they're free to enter. So just to quickly run through all 12, we've got Outstanding Freelancer, Young Freelancer, Project Award, New to Self-Employment, Wellbeing, Best Supplier, Sustainability Award, Community Champion, Social Influencer, sorry, my dog's making noise in the background, I do apologise, Equality and Diversity Award. We have an IPSE Member of the Year award, and also a Lifetime Achievement, which is one of our new ones, which we're quite excited about. So if you've got a great career that you're really, really proud of, do enter that one because it's brand new. So we've got 3 speakers today, which I'm really excited about. We've got Becky Barnes, who won our Sustainability Award, Nadine Campbell, who won our Outstanding Freelancer Award, and Georgina Merckel, who won our Young Freelancer Award. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of them to just sort of give you 5 minutes of their advice and top tips each. And then some people have already submitted the questions ahead of the event, so thank you very much for doing that. So then we'll open it up for questions and discussions once all 3 of them have had their 5 minutes of fame. And we are recording the session, so if you don't manage to take down all the wonderful tips, don't worry, by being here you will get sent the recording afterwards. So Nadine, shall we start with you?
Thanks, Vix. Hi everybody, I'm Nadine, as you know. Great to be here, and also to talk to you a little bit about how to write fantastic award-winning entries that win. Yeah, I've been fortunate to win some awards recently, and so I'm really pleased to share my tips with you on what I did and sort of my approach to applying for awards. So I'm gonna break it down in 3 different ways. Okay, so the first one is, think about your award entry as your CV, like your business CV or your work CV. So if you think about what goes on your CV, it's concise. It's got points on there that are very easy to understand quickly. There isn't a lot of jargon because you need to make sure that everyone understands what you're saying. And it's also relevant. So you typically wouldn't send your same CV out for every single role and job that you apply for. You'd actually tailor it to that particular job that you're going for. And I would say do that as well when you think about writing your awards. So it's very often that you will apply for more than one. I usually apply for at least 2 when it comes to different award ceremonies. And so then I'll need to then tailor my responses to each of those and make sure that it's not a one-size-fits-all, because when the judges are going through reams and reams of entries and they're specifically thinking about one award type, they want to make sure that your award ticks that box. So that's my first tip. Think about this as like your business CV and tailor it every time. And I think I'll just end that by saying, be concise. Obviously use the amount of characters that you can, don't go over. That's definitely not what you want to do, but use as much of it as you can, but just ensure that you're not sort of waffling. You're actually still keeping it really to the point and succinct as well. Second one is when it comes to awards, it's a skill. When I first started doing awards, I didn't win in the first couple of years I started doing it. In fact, I had no clue. I went to a couple of presentations and webinars about how to write really good awards, and that's where I got some of my tips and my style from. So you're going to need to practice, and you also need to take some time out to do it. Typically, I could spend half a day writing up my couple of awards, and actually it's really worth it, because when I do my award entries, they aren't just for awards. These are multi-purpose documents that I can use for other things later. So I might use it for PR or for some sales pattern or some marketing or content on my website. But the main thing is I'm going to put a lot of effort into it. And so I think you should definitely do that as well. And the more that you practice doing your award entries, the better that you're going to get. And I noticed that when I looked back at some of my award entries, they had typos in. Some of the sentences weren't finished properly, all things I was very embarrassed about, and also didn't win those years. So each time you do it, each time you enter an award, you're going to get better, and you're going to develop the skill for writing awards as well. So practice, 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 and make sure you carve out some time to do it properly. And also, final thing to end on for this little section is when you finish writing it, go away and come back and read it again, because there's going to be things that you have not spotted, and you will only spot them when you take a break. Okay, so my third and last tip is think about how you're going to differentiate yourself. So me personally, my career, I've had to do a lot of things differently. And that to me is my sort of way that I stand out. So I talk about how I think differently, how I work differently, and how I try to apply my thinking to the jobs and the tasks and projects that I work on. And I want you to do the same. Because if you think about people applying for your category, you're all roughly going to be doing the same thing. So the judges are going to be sifting through very similar entries. So we need to know why you. Is it you personally in the way that you approached work? Is it your project was really different and avant-garde? Were you innovative? Did you do something that you've never tried before and it really worked? Did clients come back to you and say, wow, this is fantastic? You know, these are the kind of things that you want to put in there that makes you separate to the rest. And again, make sure it's concise. So, you know, put it in a snappy statement, make sure that you've explained what you did to be different, you know, and then also think about being competitive. You know, in the crux of this, it's a competition. So you need to stand above the rest. And to do that, you have to push yourself forwards. So, you know, don't be afraid to do that. Go back and look at some of the previous winners. I did that in years I didn't win things. I was like, okay, so what made them a winner over my entry? And what can I learn from what they did to make my entry better? You know, be proud of your work. This is a point where you're going to say to yourself and write down all the amazing things that you've done to put yourself in a position to be up for an award. So, you know, you are going for an award. You do want to win. But if we go down the list, winning is fantastic. Being a finalist is brilliant. Being nominated is excellent. You know, even just writing it down and saying to yourself, this is the excellent work that I've done this year is a fantastic way of celebrating yourself. And just go for it. Okay, so good luck. And that's my top tips. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you. Georgina, should we move on to you?
Yes, hello. So my name's Georgina, and I was the Young Freelancer of the Year last year. I'm 27 and started my business 2 years before that, so when I was 25. And the Young Freelancer category is for those below the age of 30, as far as I know. So if that you fit into that category, then there's definitely one to think about, because you're actually going to be your applications will be measured against people of a similar age to you. And wherever you're at within your business, whether you're in year 1 or year 5, it's still important. So when it comes to like my top tips for applying, I was really nervous. It's the first year that I'd ever started applying for awards, and I only did so because I saw the power and the value in awards for other people. So I saw, for example, my clients applying for and winning awards and using that in marketing and seeing how strong that was. And that made me start to look for places where I could apply for awards or find communities where I would be able to use that in my marketing, but also in building my business. So when I wrote my application, it's a really hard thing to sit down and like big yourself up. And often we find ourselves feeling a bit of imposter syndrome or feeling a bit like we're bragging too much, but it's really important you convey how much impact you have, or what the effect of your job role or what projects you're working on, or however that looks for you, the impact of that, because I think that was definitely one of the key things in my application last year, being able to exemplify the impact. So that was some like quantitative things, like how many I built an online free program, so how many people accessed that, what kind of impact it had, but also using qualitative examples as well, like case studies or feedback from clients, because all that stuff's amazing. And then there's lots of tips from Nadine about writing your application, making sure you typo check it and everything. Getting someone else to read it for you is a good idea, but also saving that, because even though you've written that for a specific thing, you can repurpose it. I mean, I kept my the application I wrote, went back to it, used it for social media content, used it to form sort of other awards, tailoring them to suit. And also it's good to look back a year on, nearly a year on, from when I applied last year, of what I was writing about and how much business has changed, or how much impact I've had since then in just less than a year. So I felt like I feel like it's really important that you can recycle that info. It's not wasted time. It's really an achievement to have written all that stuff before, and to have reflected on your impact, the what your business does, and what your role looks like, and how you're serving your clients or your customer base. So having that and being able to reflect on it is really important. And the other thing is to get over nerves. It's really hard to, like I said, to put yourself out there and talk about how amazing you are. We often, like I said, have imposter syndrome, or talk down on ourselves, or struggle to focus on what we do really well, but there'll be lots of things that you do really, really well, and that's what makes you a strong business, a strong freelancer. So it's really important you focus on those. One of the ways I do that already is collect that information as you go throughout the year. So you might have already got some, or it might be something you start doing now, but collecting good feedback you've had, projects you've done that have done really well. The impact, I guess, is like what you want to collect, and then portraying that in your application as strongly as possible, and being clear about how that's led to skills or developing your customer base. So I think it's really important to just put aside any fears you have. You've got nothing to lose by applying, and Nadine said this: if you win, it's amazing. If you get become a finalist, that's excellent. But the fact that you've already submitted your application in the first place is a huge achievement, and it's something that you can use in marketing, and like looking back on your business as measures and things like that. So it's important. We don't often do that as freelancers, compared to the corporate world, where they're measuring KPIs and things like that. We're a lot more free, literally. So making sure you measure those, and think about the impact you had. That's the biggest thing I remember. What impacts have you had? That's what you want to be telling the judges, because that's what they'll remember you for, why you're different, and how much you've done. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. And last but not least, Becky, shall we hear your pearls of wisdom?
Oh, I'm not sure I've got any of those. So I would just firstly start by saying, if you're on the fence about whether it's worth investing the time to do it, just please do it. I cannot tell you how thankful and grateful I am that I did it and got to win, because the impact on me personally and my business has been enormous. And it was just such a lovely boost at such an awful time. So however crappy you're feeling about yourself, just do it. I promise you. And as the others have said, that information that you're putting together is such useful collateral for so many things afterwards. What I would say is, remember that you know your business really well, but the judges won't. So it's about being succinct in what you do, how you do it, and explaining it to somebody who knows nothing. I think I often make the mistake of just saying, oh, I'm a sustainable stylist, and everybody knows what that means. Not everybody knows what that means at all. So it's just explaining it. I think it's secondly, really reading the question and thinking, what do I need to answer that question with? And if you are repurposing information from perhaps other awards that you've put together, it is making sure that it is tailored and it is answering this specific question for this specific award. Also, just look out for the word count as well, because I made a huge error last time of jotting down all the questions, and I'd put 300 words beside each question, and then went away and just did all this writing. And then when I came to copy and paste it into my final application, I realized it was 300 characters, not 300 words, which meant that I had to massively reduce the info that I was putting in. So just read the question properly. And I think the third thing is just try and get your personality across as well. Show your passion, show who you are, and be unapologetic about that. And hopefully it'll achieve cut through and people will connect with you on a really authentic level. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'd echo all of that as well. I think everything was fantastic advice. We'd definitely say, you know, don't give up. If you do enter this year and you don't win, you know, there's nothing to say you won't win the next year. It could be something as silly as, like I said, there was a typo and that was literally what the split decision was between. So, you know, do believe in yourself and make sure you do. And I think it's really important as well what Georgina said, that find a way to kind of document throughout the year all those little wins that you do, or those little bits that you're really proud of, because you so quickly forget them. But actually, you know, those are the bits that could tip you over. And actually, it's a nice little ego boost, isn't it? When you look back over the year, you can see how far you've come. And, you know, even if you've had a terrible year, there might be a couple of little bits in there that are, you know, fantastic and, you know, will really impress the judges. And interestingly, in the chat, a few people have sort of put that, you know, winning awards adds gravitas to your position and it's good for press coverage. And this is what we hear time and time again from our award winners, that they can't believe, you know, how it's helped grow their business, or that, you know, that people have come to them because they're an award winner, or, you know, journalists have gone to them because they're an expert in that area. So again, yeah, there's all sorts of additional benefits out there. And also, you know, there's just attending the event itself, which is a really great thing to do. It's good networking. You know, you get some free booze and snacks as well, which, you know, everybody loves. You get to wear a nice outfit again, which you know, you can't beat. So we've had some questions that came in ahead of the time, which I'm just going to bring up and have a look. And do please put, if you've got any questions, do please put them either in the chat or the Q&A box. So some of the questions are, how do you get comfortable with promoting your success? I mean, I think you've all probably slightly touched on that, but, you know, do feel free to chip in it if you want, or I can go around individually, however you want to do it. I mean, Georgina, you were nodding away. Do you want to?
Yeah, I think it's still something I struggle with now. You know, 3 years, just over 3 years into my business, to talk proudly about everything I do. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And I actually went on after the IPSE Awards to apply for other awards and didn't win, but I got practice, as Nadine said, in like writing applications and practice writing my achievements. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you feel thinking about those. So I think practice is definitely one, just doing it and doing it and doing it. And then when you have a dip of confidence, it's okay, because it'll come back. You just got to keep trying, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as well. I think, like, who else will promote you? You got to think about this, because we're all working for a reason, and we all want our careers to excel. So if you can start to begin to be proud of your work, and it's almost like a journal. It's like a journal of great things that you've done. You're just submitting them to someone else. So just don't make it too big. Don't make it feel too big. And then as you start to do, like Georgina was saying, you're just going to get more comfortable with promoting yourself. And it's not showing off. It's just telling people what you've done. So yeah, think of it like that.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily about self-promotion or bigging yourself up. I think more about it as, what is your area of expertise? What's your superpower? And then it makes it easier to talk about that rather than saying, well, I've done this. You can say, actually, these are the skills that I have, and this is how I've applied it, and this has been the outcome. And that to me is a little bit easier for me to handle.
We've had a great practical question in, which is how do you decide what attachments to put in the application? So, what supporting material is actually makes the cut, I guess, and is going to enhance your application without putting in too much that the judges get a bit overwhelmed and ignore it all.
I'll jump in on that one. I've actually never submitted anything. I have been very detailed in my entries, but if I were submitting something, I would probably think about testimonials. I would think about a cut down deck. So if I've got a deck of a project I've done, I'll condense it to 1 page, because I think the last thing the judges want is to read through like a 30-page deck of information or a reel. But the usual things I do is I send them to a dedicated page on my website, which will have the information which supports my entry. So yeah, I think any of those are good.
Yeah, I submitted a kind of long form testimonial from one of my clients who I'd worked with, who kind of I asked questions about some of the specific things I was talking about in my application, or exemplifying my knowledge or expertise or superpower, or things that you're good at, like Becky said. And then I submitted that alongside it, which one is great for testimonials in general. And but she touched on things like Georgina's outstanding at this. Georgina has a natural gift or a flair for things like this and that. I think those things really helped, because the judges listen to the people that you're working with. So if they feel that way about you, the judges are going to feel that too in your application and the supporting evidence. So yeah, I included like a long form testimonial with questions, but you could do case studies or shorter testimonials, or even a piece of evidence of work. I guess if you're in a digital field and you've got videos or content like that, you could add that as well.
I think I did a little collage of screenshots and little snippets of emails or notes that clients or followers had sent me, just showing the impact of how the business has changed them and how they've changed behaviors. And so it's a real hands-on examples of real life people implementing what you're suggesting or what you stand for. So again, I think it helps bring it to life and shows how the theory then translates into reality. And to me, it's easier to understand when you've got real people doing real things.
Yeah, definitely. I think also the supporting evidence kind of touches on a comment you made, Becky, as well. Don't assume people know what you do. And I think that the supporting evidence is a great opportunity to just sort of flesh out, you don't get a lot of space to write your answers. So it just, if you can't fill it in the sort of the initial bit, if it all of a sudden then makes perfect sense with your supportive evidence, then again, it just sort of makes it really easy for the judges, which at the end of the day, they're the gatekeepers as to who wins. So you want to sort of keep them interested. And one bit of feedback we had as well from last year is, if you're going to use sort of buzzwords, think about if people are going to use the same ones. So we had in one of the categories, and it's perfectly valid, but oh my god, it's just come out of my head, the imposter syndrome, there we go, totally valid and very accurate and should be in the in the award entry, but it was used in every single person put it in. So then all of a sudden, when you're judging or you're trying to slim it down, if everyone's written the same thing, then what is that extra piece that's going to make the judges go, aha, that's cool, or that's interesting. I can see how they've gone above and beyond on that. We had a couple of other questions that I don't think necessarily need to go too much depth. One person just sort of asked, does it matter if I have no staff and it's just me? I mean, I would say no. This is, these awards are 100% for self-employed people, of which many people are completely themselves. They don't necessarily work with other freelancers or contractors. They don't necessarily have admin staff on the side or anything, they just are individual wonderful people who do great things. What else was there? The pre-submitted ones.
Fix. I just wanted to say, as a solo person entering, that's even more of a reason to enter, actually, because you don't have a team behind you suggesting that you enter something, or a team collectively promoting you. So the fact that you're a solo person is actually more of a reason that you enter, and that is the main reason why I entered, and the main reason why I enter a lot of the awards, because I need that. I actually need that recognition, and when I was building my business, I needed that gravitas. So if you are just you, definitely apply.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I've had one question come in. Why is it important to actually go along to the awards ceremony, and what's the benefit for you and your business? I mean, did you guys, other than the joy, did you get anything out of being at the physical awards ceremony on the night?
Yeah, I mean, I took my dad with me, which was really good for him. He doesn't really understand what a freelancer is, and I think bringing him along, and he's seen so many accomplished, amazing people working in so many different fields under like that freelancer bracket, was really good for him from a personal perspective, and for me. And I also got like face-to-face feedback from the judges as well, comments on my application. So that was amazing, because I got to speak to them about specifically me, and I got to meet people. You know, this is my first kind of year going to anything like this after COVID. Before that, I had a job, so I'd never been to anything like this before. So for me, it was a really lovely experience to meet people face to face, to talk, to make some friends who I've kept over the last few months since we met, and see others and hear about their projects.
I mean, Nadine, you're a regular at our awards, so you're multi-award winner.
I met Georgina and her dad at the awards. No, I think you should. I think it's good to go, because these people have spent time to judge your award, and I personally like to go and thank them and to ask them what made, a bit like Georgina said, like what made it stand out. But I just feel super proud when they tell me, well, this is what tipped it, or we liked it because of this. But even if I didn't win, they still tell me some feedback, and I think that you can't get. And also mixing with other freelancers and other people that are all striving is a wonderful feeling. Last year was at the Barbican. It was excellent. I think I've told everyone that already. It's a beautiful venue. You get a night out. You get to go and pat yourself on the back, and also others. So, I think it's worth going. It's worth going just to give a break and to thank yourself for all the work you're doing. So just try and go if you can.
I was going to say, this year's venue, I think it's called Landing 42 in the Cheese Grater, and it's basically an invite-only event space. So it's not somewhere you'll just, if you are a Londoner or you love going to London, you won't have been most likely to this space. So the scenery is going to be pretty spectacular. We're quite excited. So even that alone, as well as all the fabulous networking, is a reason to come along. Becky, did you have anything from the night that you took away?
Yeah, well, I would say my one regret is that I didn't actually spend much time there, because well, first of all, the train that I was supposed to be on got cancelled, and it was all a massive stress, and there was problems on the line. So I got there with about 3 minutes before the award ceremony starting. So I sort of like shot down into my seat in like some sweaty, stressed mess. And then I was just really stressed about getting a train back home again, because they were being cancelled left, right and centre. I thought, I'm going to be stranded in London. So it was such a shock to win. And then I literally had about 10 minutes in the room when I then had to just dash off to get a train back home. And that's my massive regret, that I just didn't get the chance to speak to everybody else and all the amazing people that were in the room, and to really soak it up and just enjoy it for what it was. So definitely go if you can, and definitely stay over if you're not local, so that you could max it out and spend as many hours there as possible.
I bet the events team were panicking if you were late.
I just made it. But it was a touch and go.
Yeah, cool. We've had a question from Charlotte that says, can you apply if you're a limited company rather than self-employed? Absolutely. Many self-employed people do actually have a limited company. I mean, if you've got lots of staff, it's kind of, it depends how your staff are sort of employed. And I mean, we do have a supplier category as well. So if you happen to be a business that provides services for self-employed people as well. That's very much aimed at full-blown companies. So yeah, but you know, if you're not sure, enter anyway. You never know. So good to do. And then we've had somebody was asking if it's possible to see the questions before starting online. I think the events team might have answered that, which is you can save the application as you go along and come back to it. That way you'll see the full application form before completing and submitting it, which again I think lends itself to all the points that you ladies have made, that, you know, attention to detail, you know, start writing it out and then refine. Which is good. Just checking back through, see if there's any other questions. I think we've covered most of them, which is good. Trying to think if I've got any final points. I don't think so. I think everything's been covered from my side. I don't know if you ladies have anything additional you'd like to share, or if we've got any final questions. If not, we can let people get on and have some lunch.
I was just going to say you've got nothing to lose by applying anyway, and applying year on year as well. I was saying to the events team earlier, I was like looking to see which categories I fall into this year. And Nadine is a multi IPSE award winner, which is amazing. But it's really, I think being a freelancer, you lean into community a lot more, and the awards are just one way of finding that community, as IPSE as well, as an organisation as well. So it's worth having a go at, even if you don't win. And I would just say to have a go.
Excellent. I would second that very much. So you don't know, do you, unless you. And again, you know, every year is going to be completely different as to who applies. So, you know, if you didn't win that year, it doesn't mean you won't win another year. And, you know, like Nadine said, the judges will be at the event, you know, so if you did want some feedback, I mean, you know, hopefully they'd remember the application well enough to be able to give some feedback, or if not, they might be happy to do so over email at a later time to kind of help you for future applications. Cool. I don't think we've had any extra questions come through. So unless Nadine, Becky, any final points, or are you good?
Yeah, I think my final point is, you know, this is an exercise of looking back on what you've done over the last year, and I want everyone to think about it like that. So you've worked incredibly hard. We've been through COVID. We understand the freelancer and startup scene is hard at the moment. It's been a bit rocky. So something like this can really boost you. I can tell you, when I won my first set of awards, that was a tough year. Like, I was working extremely hard and feeling like nobody saw me. And then getting that award is actually external recognition. It's people saying, we see you, we understand you're working hard, and we want to say well done to you. And it is an incredible boost. I think that boost pushed me on for a year at least. So just go for it. Like, be proud of yourself, chuck that application in, make sure you spell check and all that good stuff, but just be passionate, and to look back and be proud of the work that you do, and 100% apply and share it and get others to apply too, and share the love around a bit. So yeah, good luck to everybody, and hopefully some of the things we said were helpful today.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and just a reminder, deadline Friday the 12th of May, so next Friday, 5 p.m. Don't miss it. You can contact us if you've got questions. You can email events@ipse.co.uk. There'll be somebody that will pick up that email if you've got, you know, concerns about anything. So yeah, good luck. Hopefully we'll see some of you that have been on the webinar today at the awards, and, you know, come and say hello to all of us and get to know us, which would be great. Right, well, we will leave it there. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll speak soon. Bye.